Hi ladies and gentlemen, and we have another beer review, surprisingly enough, in this channel. And we have this is the last one on the Welsh series, because that's coming to an end as well. So this is the last beer initially in the Welsh series. I'm not going to say there isn't maybe some other Welsh beers that will be turning up throughout the year just as an interesting review. But this is a kind of the last one in the concerted effort of let's look for Welsh beers. And again, this is a border one. This is from the Wye Valley Brewery, and it's HPA. Apparently India Pale Ale isn't good enough. They have Hereford Pale Ale. Now, this was brewed, I'm saying brewed. This was reviewed by a friend of mine on Instagram, which is Not Drunk Darryl on Instagram. He tried this out and I think he quite enjoyed it. He was getting wired into it when he was doing some sort of online stuff or editing or whatever. And I did say to him that I was going to be reviewing this fairly soon, and he said, well, I hope you enjoy it. So I think he enjoyed it. It's roughly just under the £2 mark. It's 4%. I bought this in Bath. It was the Sainsbury's in Bath I bought this. So this would be kind of interesting. Any spiel on the back? HPA is a truly delightful pale ale. It's smooth on the palate and boasts a citrus hop aroma leading to a balanced bitter finish. Locally grown Target and Solera hops plus malted wheat and extra pale Maris Otter. Malted barley makes this a bottle conditioned beer with the right ingredients. Store and serve, blah blah blah, ingredients, what does it say? Water, extra pale Maris Otter, malted barley, flaked wheat, Solera hops and Target hops, and of course yeast. Doesn't say what type of yeast it is. But it's brewed in Stoke Lacey, Herefordshire, which is really just on the border. It's 4%, so just on the border between England and Wales. The Wye Valley is really the kind of natural border almost between England and Wales. So I class this as a Welsh beer. Other people might say, well, it's an English beer. I class it as a Welsh beer and that sort of stuff because they're using a lot of the water and everything else that's coming from Wales. And that's been it. Let's crack it open and see what it's like. So it should be quite light. It's a Hereford Pale Ale. They're saying there's a bit of citrus to it. Well, this is a bit better than the last kind of pale one. Oh shit! The last one we did. Was that pissed everywhere? I think it was the Goddard's of Isle of Wight. I slagged off the real label and all this kind of spiel nonsense, and then the bottle just pissed everywhere. So they got me back in that one. And yeah. Ooh. It's a bit lively, but again, it's pale. It's very kind of straw coloured. It's almost like a blonde, the colour. But apparently it's not an India Pale Ale, it's a Hereford Pale Ale. Yeah, an HPA. Oh, why not? I mean, at the end of the day, there was a reason for the India Pale Ale. Is there a reason for the HPA? Do they have a similar issues or problems as India? Probably not. But in saying that though, you also have a lot of American IPAs, and they didn't export it to India. It was nothing to do with that. As I said previously with the IPAs, it's a brewing kind of concept out of necessity, and of course the Americans took that kind of brewing style and very much made it their own. So has the Wye Valley Brewery taken the kind of the IPA kind of brewing thing and kind of created their own HPA? Let's find out. Well, I'm getting citrus. I'm getting gentle citrus, but nonetheless I'm getting citrus. Now normally when you smell the thing with Goddard, I was getting floral notes, I wasn't getting citrus, although they did say it was citrusy and zesty. I'm getting more citrus from this than I did from that beer. Yeah. It's got citrus, very light malt, but again, the most overpowering aroma is citrus. No floralness at all, no rose water or Turkish delight kind of smells. No grain or cut grass. Ever so slight malt, which is that kind of, that really light malt smell you get, which just kind of indicates sweetness and lightness. And yeah, it's nearly all very light citrus, but it's not kind of that pithy citrus. Wait a minute, did I just say it was going to... go. Right, hold on, I'm going to have to change the camera battery because it's now flagging up as it's going to die. Right, sorry about that, we're now back in the room. The problem with this camera is that it shows you the battery level when you start recording, but then it doesn't give you an update during the recording, unfortunately. And it showed as full as I started recording, and then I get a couple of minutes into recording and it's like, oh, I'm going to run out of battery. It starts coming up with a warning, you're thinking, you shit. So yes, thank you Sony for that. You got a bit of a problem with it. Right, anyway, so we go back to this beer. So we're getting light citrus, not so much heavy kind of pithiness or heavy rind citrus, but just very right. You can just imagine if you cut open a grapefruit. When you cut open a grapefruit, you're just getting that ever so slight fresh citrus smell, and that's what you're getting. You're getting ever so slight light malt just at the very start, but very lightly, just to kind of indicate a slight sweetness, and that's all. You're getting nothing else. So there's no grains, no grass, no spiciness, no pepperiness, none of all this type of stuff, and of course you're not getting any floralness whatsoever. So let's give it a taste and see what it's like. Right. There is citrus there. There is citrus. It's like old world meets new world. That's probably the best way to describe it. So it's like the old style kind of a pale ale meets a kind of craft world pale ale, the kind of new craft fraternity pale ale, which is hopped off its tits and overly citrus and almost undrinkable. And this just kind of is the kind of border between the two. And yeah, it's like the best of both worlds. So if you like something with a bit more citrus, this is nice, but you still like something that's a bit more towards, I think it's like basically, it's a good example is like Lagunitas, which it is an American pale ale that has to get citrus, but it's a nice controlled sweetness, or Sierra Nevada kind of pale ale. So it's almost like that, but just a little bit lighter. It's not like you imagine the horrible kind of overly hot citrus craft beer IPAs, and then look at maybe an example of, like, say, 1950s pale ale of, like, say, Timothy Taylor's Landlord, and there was an ever so slight accent citrus there, and then you've got the over, and then just in the middle where the two kind of marriage together, you've got an HPA, which I would probably say it's almost like a kind of British version of Lagunitas. It is a pale ale. It has got citrus accents to it, and quite prominent citrus accents to it. But again, controlled and balanced. Not just, oh, it's just all citrus and just, oh, seriously. And it becomes very boring and tiring and everything else, and just getting sick of this. So yeah. Starting off, let's break down the flavours. Slight malt sweetness to start with. Ever so light, a very light sweetness to start with. Goes on to the mid-tongue, and you're getting the citrus starting to come through. You're getting the hoppiness coming through. You're getting a slight bitterness. But the bitterness isn't strong. It doesn't get heavy in any way, shape or form. So it's a bitterness, but it's a nice light bitterness. But you're getting that kind of citrusness with it, which just makes it more interesting and more enjoyable. So it's not just bitterness for bitterness sake. You're getting the bitterness and you're getting the kind of citrus flavour at the same time. And then as it goes on to the aftertaste, the bitterness starts to dissipate just as it transitions onto the aftertaste. And then you're just left with a light, ever so slightly citrus aftertaste that just dissipates. And there is no bitterness in the aftertaste at all. You have to go looking for bitterness. Yeah. It's very light. I mean, I would say there's just ever so slight transition between the bitterness from the mid-tongue to the aftertaste. So you are getting ever so slight crossover onto the aftertaste of bitterness. But that dissipates so quickly and you're just left with a citrusness. And yeah, it's very light, very drinkable. And it's only 4%. And yeah, as you can see, it's a light beer. I would say it's very sessionable, very easy to drink. It's interesting. It's nice because going by a lot of IPAs, and especially more modern IPAs that are really overly hopped and everything else, this is giving you the more kind of modern take on the IPA, or the more kind of American style IPA. But it's done in a nice, light, controlled way. And it just makes it very drinkable and everything else. I mean, I could honestly drink this with food. I could drink this with barbecue. I mean, this, again, I think we've done quite a few in the last few reviews. This is a nice option to lager. If you're looking at mainstream lager and you want something just a little bit more flavoursome, a little more body, and something a hell of a lot more interesting, then this would be absolutely perfect. This would be right up your street. Also, if you're into the kind of craft beer, or you want to get into the craft beer, you just want to kind of maybe build up, this would be a good starting point. I think this would be a good one to just go. This or Lagunitas would be a good one to start with. And just get used to it and see if you like the kind of citrus flavours in beer and things like that. And if you do, then you can move on to maybe a Sierra Nevada, and then move on to the kind of more stronger, kind of heavily hopped IPAs and West Coast and East Coast and everything else, New England IPAs and all that. And you can really build up your citrus tolerance. But in general, this is just a nice, refreshing beer. I mean, fair play to them. They've looked obviously at the citrus, or the craft scene, and seen the kind of popularity of the citrus flavouring, And I thought, yeah, we can do that, but we can do that in a controlled and balanced way. And fair play to Wye Valley Breweries. They have done it really nice, and you can see it's a nicely brewed beer, it's nice and live, it's less in the glass. And to be totally honest, if I was standing at a barbecue, people would be looking at it and think, oh, he's drinking lager. I'm not drinking lager. I'm drinking something with a lot more flavour and a lot more interesting than, say, your shitty Fosters or your Stella Artois or your 1664 or your Carling and things like that, or your Budweiser. So yeah, what would I give this out of 10? It's going to be a kind of repetitiveness, but I'm actually going to give this a 6.5 out of 10 because they have hopped it, they have given it a citrus flavour, and it is a very citrus bent. But it's just nice and controlled, it's balanced, it's not in your face, it's very drinkable, it's light. And yeah, it really is very nice. I mean, I'm not adverse to citrus flavours, I'm not adverse to hopping beer in any way, shape or form, because hops do bring a lot of flavour to beers. But I am an advocate of balance. I think that's probably the best way to describe how I review beers. Is I'm looking for balance. I'm looking for, I mean, it's so easy in the cases of if I want a taste of piss, then I know where to go to get a taste of piss. If I want a taste of overpowering citrus and almost undrinkability, I mean, and this is the main problem is what I have with a lot of craft beers is you have the bland piss water from the mainstream, and then you have the overly hopped craft beer fraternity, and you're thinking, seriously, I don't want to drink that because it is overly hopped and it's almost undrinkable, which makes it piss water in itself. And then you have the flavourless piss water of the mainstream, and you're thinking, I don't want that, and I don't want that, and I want something kind of in between it. Not the horrible bland piss water, but not the overly hopped nonsense that you get for the craft beer. I want something more balanced, more kind of controlled. HPA gives us that, but there's lots of other beers that give us that, and it's not in a gaudy can or a gaudy bottle label or whatever, and I like that. There's a kind of a maturity to it, like enough of that crap of the piss water and enough of that overly hopped shit as well. I mean, let's get a bit of control here. Let's act like a fucking adult here, you know. And it's that type of situation. I want an adult drink. I don't want a baby drink. I look like piss water, and I don't want it like, oh look, we can add loads of hops, and we keep on adding hops, and it's like wonderful. Look at us, we're marvellous. Oh, fuck off! Seriously, it's almost undrinkable. You've created your own version of piss water, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I like this from the point of view is it's controlled, it's balanced, it's enjoyable, it's sessionable as well. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. It's really nice. I can see why they've called it a Hereford Pale Ale, because instead of trying to say an IPA, because most people will see IPA and you either think, well, if it's old school IPA then it's not going to taste of citrus. If it's new kind of craft beer IPA, it's going to be hopped off its tits and it's probably going to be almost unbearable with the citrus flavours. And I can see why they've actually created their own kind of niche to say, well, wait a minute here. We can do citrus, but we can do citrus in a controlled and sensible way. And something that you can sit back, relax and enjoy. We're not going to hop the beer to make it undrinkable or not very nice. We're going to hop the beer to just add a little bit of interest to it, and you're going to enjoy it. And yeah, just sit back and enjoy the ride. And yeah, so HPA 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Cheers and bye for now.